Will American agriculture resemble California agriculture in the next 5 or 10 years? I believe yes, in many ways it will. What am I talking about? Well, in a previous video I posted asking the question, what happens if or when agriculture's political clout runs out? Well, I believe that day is coming, and the support we're going to get in the state houses and in the federal government are going to be very different, come with certain strings attached. You want to get money to bail you out, you're going to adhere to certain practices. You're going to idle land for conservation, etc. This ties into what voters in many ways want, and also what state houses and government politicians want in the new changing of the guard. As I asked in that other question, in the other video, you know, it's not Chuck Grassley's agricultural policy anymore. There's going to be the new wave, and they will think very differently than some of the traditional farm state supporters. So when you say, Damian, you're comparing us to California, it's not even an ag state. If you're not aware, I'll give you some quick numbers. California is the #1 agricultural producing state by revenue. In fact, the last numbers I looked at, California produced 50% more ag revenue than #2 state, Iowa. Think about that. I spoke to the California Farm Bureau a few years ago, and they were very proud to say that 430 different agricultural products are produced in the Golden State. It's a pretty amazing agricultural state. But even with those numbers and with that economic viability, Sacramento and movements from cause groups and voters have moved against agriculture in many ways. 29 million acres of California were cultivated 30 years ago. It's down to less than 24 million right now. So you're talking about an almost 20% decline in cropped acres that are going idled. Why? Because of water policy, because of protection of things like some smelt in the Sacramento Delta versus feeding you and me the crops that in many ways can only be produced in California. So just think about this. We're not talking about corn and soy that are oversupplied that we might grow in places like my home state of Indiana. We're talking about crops that go right to the produce aisle, things that can only be produced in a Mediterranean climate, and yet the support is still not there. We're allowing acres to decline and be idled at a vast rate. Also, the number of farmers producing them in California declining rapidly because of a change in support or a lack of support. And this, in many ways, is what I think is going to be coming for all American agriculture, because if you think your economic viability is going to give you protection at the state or federal level, think again. California, the #1 ag state, is certainly not propping up its industry and is putting cost of regulation on their producers that would make your head spin. Is this where we're going in agriculture? Makes you wonder. Damian Mason, I speak on stages all over North America and right here online about the world's most important industry, the business of agriculture. Thank you for tuning in and giving this some thought.